Welcome to another episode of the A-List Movie Club. I am your host, the game changer, Wes Truth. And joined with me as always are Dominic and John. How's it going tonight, guys?
It's going good.
Good.
All right. And of course, this is the show where each week one of us picks a different movie for the others to check out. And Dominic picked a doozy for us this week. Dominic, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what you picked?
I picked the insert year here. No, what year was it? 2018 movie, a horror movie, Hereditary, starring Toni Collette and Gabriel Byrne and a bunch of other people I've never seen in my life. So, it was director Ari Aster's first movie, and it's an interesting one. It follows a family who experiences a death right at the beginning with the matriarch, the dying, and some weird shit goes on. Then there's other deaths and more weird shit and goats and everything else. Goats. Wesley and I saw this movie in the theaters when it came out. We were the only two in the theater when we saw this. And I don't think we said a word to each other through the whole movie, but except for, this is fucked up.
There was one point where I just said, Jesus Christ! And it had to do with something on the road.
And when we watched it, we left that movie and we said, oh my God, this movie was so disturbing. It made you feel like you almost had have a shower afterwards. But
I felt like I just watched something evil. Satanic, something like that.
We didn't care for it. We really didn't think we liked it when we saw it. So through the past 3 years, we've seen this movie pop up on a lot of people's, one of the greatest horror movies of all time and everything like that. So Wesley and I were talking about this, and we said, maybe we missed the boat on this movie. Maybe we just didn't give it a fair chance, and it was just so shocking to us that we really didn't absorb the movie. So I chose this movie as our movie to review for today. And oh my God, we watched it again and I was absolutely blown away. First of all, Toni Collette should have had the Best Actress Oscar, and she was never even nominated. I don't care.
I don't think no Golden Globe. No,
right.
Nothing.
I don't understand. I don't care who won that in 2018, but they did not deserve it over Toni Collette.
I think it was Renee Zellweger for Judy Garland. For that Judy Garland movie.
Well, that was pretty good too. She was very good. But I honestly think Toni Collette should have won over that. I really do. This movie was insane. It was creepy. It was scary. It was. I have completely changed my view on this movie, and I think it was a masterpiece of horror. I think it was a slow burn, and it was very. It was a slow burn, but it bludgeoned you. It just, while you were watching it, it was just so intense. All the acting in that movie was fantastic. It was just, every actor in that movie deserves to be applauded because they casted it perfectly and the acting was amazing. I really changed my tune on this boat, and it may be probably top 5 or 10 of horror movies I've ever seen. I think this was that good. and I misunderstood it when I first saw it. So Ari Aster, Aster, whatever your name is, I owe you an apology for this. I will say that I'll scream it from the mountaintops. This movie should be on every horror fan's bucket list. That's what I say.
Wow.
And I'm sticking to it.
I'd never seen it before. You guys had mentioned it, and obviously I ordered it so I could watch it with you guys. I called it Inception 2. Yeah, I don't know what to make of it. Maybe I have to watch it again like you guys did. Maybe it's
It might be like that. Like like you get more out of it watching it a second time, because that's how we were.
because I didn't hate it. It wasn't like I wanted to turn it off. It wasn't Halloween 3 bad.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it was an odd movie.
Yeah, it is. And that's what was so cool about it, John. It didn't rely on jump scares or a ton of gore or anything like that, or some guy chasing after co-eds with a knife or something like that. This was friggin' creepy. And it was just I don't know even how to. It was just bizarre, it was just really bizarre.
Yeah, I liked that it wasn't any of that stuff. It wasn't a slasher film. It wasn't found footage, which is a big thing. It's like a thinking man's horror movie. I like that, but it's very heavy. It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of claustrophobic. I know there's scenes outside of the house, but a lot of it takes place in the house, and the house is always sort of dimly lit and dark. It's got a lot of dread hanging over it. You know, it feels like the movie itself is kind of possessed. It's weird. Like,
yeah.
Like, I wouldn't watch it alone in the dark. I'm just saying. You should probably have a light on or watch with someone else. Like, it's one of those movies.
But isn't that a mark of a great horror movie? Isn't that? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, John. I keep interrupting you.
No, that's fine. I mean, it definitely, like those slasher flicks, you could just flip the switch and be entertained. It's, a maniac with a knife killing people. This, you have to pay attention and try to sort of figure out what's going on. And it's like a thinking man's horror movie. It's different. And there's only like 6 people in the whole cast. Like, it's really small. And yeah. The only time I jumped out of my seat was the side of the road scene, let's say.
Okay.
Because I didn't know that was coming. You guys did. I did not. So
right.
Yeah. That guy be like, holy shit. Like, yeah.
And I think they set it up perfectly that way to make you think that movie was going one way. Like, this movie's going to be like this. And then it totally turns it around. And you're like, now what is this movie going to be about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Dom. Toni Collette, amazing. I mean, she's always good, everything I see her in. But
right. And Wes pointed out, he said to me, he goes, that scene when they were having dinner, the 3 of them, was just so incredibly well acted by every one of them. But Toni Collette was just amazing, absolutely amazing.
Unbelievable. You could feel her pain.
I know.
Her grieving, her suffering. Like, I felt bad for her.
Mm-hmm.
You could just feel, and that dinner scene is unbelievable. But the 3 of them, that's 3 different ways of grieving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Gabriel Byrne is quiet, doesn't say a whole lot, sort of keeps it in. The kid is guilt-ridden.
Yeah.
And he's sad. The mom is like on a thin edge. She's ready to just explode what she did. She was unbelievable. Her screaming and carrying on, and the way she would switch personalities, I guess how you describe it.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is just, that may be one of my favorite performances by an actor in any movie. Honestly, I how talented she is to be able to harness all that. That movie must have took a toll on her filming. It had to have.
Yeah, I give her credit for she was all in. I mean, she gave it her all. There was no half-assed in that role. She was
Right.
1,000% into that.
And this movie was not a guaranteed smash. This was not like, oh, we're going to make this movie and it's going to be a huge blockbuster. It's going to get us all Oscars. It's going to be one of the biggest movie of the year. This was a small little project, that they really took a chance on.
I remember the trailers didn't give you a whole lot.
No.
Probably for the best.
Yes.
I don't remember it doing well. Did it do well in the theaters or kind of an underground word of mouth?
It was a word of mouth movie. Like from people that went and saw it opening weekend, and people that liked movies like The Witch and the slow burn horror type movies like that went to see it, and they were like telling their friends, "Oh, you like that movie? Make sure you see Hereditary." And it had like 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is unheard of for horror movies. So a lot of people found it that way, like a word of mouth with this movie.
My DVD had a preview for The Witch. That looked pretty good too. So
it's that's another interesting one. It's from the same studio, that A24, who they did like Uncut Gems. They did that Robert Pattinson one. A lot of movies that are sort of artsy-ish.
Yeah, almost like an art house movie.
Yeah, but not too artsy-ish.
Well, they're a small studio. I don't know. Must have just started or something. Yeah.
Yeah, not too long ago. Mm-hmm.
My only, besides the confusion of this movie, the only downside was it really felt like a 4-hour long movie. It just, like, I was watching it going, is this movie over yet? And I looked at the time, like, Christ, we still have an hour to go. Like, because it's a slow burn, I get, but it just seemed like it just took its sweet old time.
And honestly, when we saw it the first time, I thought it was very long. And even the second time, because when I first picked this, I said to Wesley, I said, "How long was this movie? 2.5, 3 hours?" And Wesley goes, "No, it was only 2."
No, that was Midsummer.
Yeah. Now, John,
brace yourself for that one.
Midsummer is, you know how you said this movie was dark and everything like that?
Yeah, heavy. Yeah.
Midsummer is the polar opposite. It is light. It takes place mostly outside, in the beautiful sunlight and beautiful scenery and everything like that. So what I think that was awesome of the director doing this and then doing the complete polar opposite in another horror movie.
Yeah.
I didn't watch that yet in case someone picks it, so I was waiting,
Well, we were hoping you.
Oh. One of us will be very soon if another one doesn't. So
that's why I didn't pick any of those ones I ordered, because I figured you guys are going to pick them, so I'll just wait.
Okay.
My other knock on this movie is they don't give you a lot of background on the characters. Like, we don't really know what grade the boy is in or the girl. What does the mom really do for a living? She makes miniature houses.
Well, she's an artist, and the gallery that was calling her, she was supposed to show those have a gallery showing of those.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know if that was like a hobby or if that was her job, but they didn't really explain it.
Yeah, she's an artist.
Okay, interesting. All right, Wes, what do you got?
Okay, so obviously I was in the same boat as Dominic. So this is a movie where this movie was actually one of the reasons I thought about doing a show like this with bringing people together and talking about movies and re-reviewing movies that I thought I might have been a little too harsh on or a little too easy on, like Jurassic World 2. But yeah, my original take, I was very unsure of what I thought. But like Dominic said, the last 3 years, I think we bring this movie up once a month and we talk about it. So it's very memorable. It's not like something like Fantasy Island or the Grudge remake where I'm like, yeah, I don't even remember what that was about. You know,
No,
this is oh no, I remember this movie. This left a mark.
Even before we rewatched this, if somebody said, "Can you tell me the story about Hereditary?" I could have gave them a pretty good, lengthy description of the movie.
Yeah.
I would just say you have to watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this is something that stuck with me. I thought Ari Aster, I thought he does amazing work. Even if I do think the white coat should be chasing him. Because man, do you have to be screwed up to come up with some of this stuff. And when you see Midsummer, it just expands on that, where it's like, this dude belongs in the hospital. But I think he's brilliant. I love the wide angle shot throughout, where it was sort of like you didn't know if it was a model or the actual shot at sometimes with the characters. I absolutely loved, which I know I laughed at in the theater, and I know I laughed at it again here, when the night changes to day or day changes to night, and it's like a light switch goes off and there's even the sound effect. And I'm like, okay, that was interesting. On a second watch, I picked up on a lot of foreshadowing for this movie, just in like conversations at like in the school classroom, and where I was like, oh my God, this dude like totally let the cat out of the bag a long way before it happens, and no one will know. And foreshadowing a certain scene when they're driving on the road, me and Dominic looked at each other like, oh man, we totally missed that. I honestly, I thought this movie was brilliant on the second watch. 10 minutes in, I was like, wow, I realized how off I was here. Maybe it was because I knew what I was getting this time. My expectations weren't for one type of movie. So I could say going into this movie, don't expect a regular possession horror movie with ghosts or anything. Like, you know, this is totally different. There's very shocking moments in this movie. Like I said, you think it's going to go one way, and then it makes a drastic change. There might be a few things you might be able to predict, but you have no clue where it's going to go from there. Like, okay, it did that, but now it went this way with it. Like we said, there's no lame jump scares, no overused cliches. If it does take on any horror tropes, it spins them. And like you were saying, Toni Collette's amazing. The scene at the dinner table gave me chills. Haven't had that since the scene with the Joker or Joker and Robert De Niro. that scene gives me chills too. But yes, disturbing and scary. It makes you want to take a shower after viewing. It very much reminded me of something like The Exorcist, where it's like sort of like The Exorcist of its day, which I know that line gets taken out for any run-of-the-mill horror movie half the time. That's like but this deserves a line like, this is The Exorcist for modern day time.
John, do you have trivia?
Yes, I do.
Awesome.
Oh. This is kind of funny, not funny, but they accidentally sent the trailer for this movie with Peter Rabbit.
That is
Said in Australia, parents left with their children and got refunded because obviously,
yeah.
go to see Peter Rabbit, you don't think to see a Hereditary trailer. Toni Collette had vowed to never do another horror movie. She wanted to do comedies and lighter stuff, but when she read this script, she couldn't turn it down. Good thing she did. I mean, imagine if someone else played it. I mean,
and she was the executive producer.
well, that might have helped her too.
Yeah.
The director had the two kids stay in character and hang out together in character. It said they went out to lunch, and for 3 hours, the girl didn't talk, and the boy kept trying to get her to talk.
Wow.
The director wanted scares that were emotionally justified, not just jump scares for jump scares.
Not an umbrella popping out.
You feel earned.
Mm-hmm.
According to the kid who played the son, the original cut of the movie was over 3 hours long.
I could see that.
It felt longer than that anyway. The director doesn't consider it a horror. He considers it a family drama about suffering and grief.
Yeah.
I can kind of see that. I mean,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But with horror elements.
Gabriel Byrne and the boy worked together on something else, and the boy and the girl knew each other from school. So the director had them three, since they knew each other, stay together and not interact with Toni Collette to make her feel even more like an outsider. As her character in the movie is, where she's sort of yeah.
This guy is fucking brilliant.
Feels alienated from her own family. Took 32 days to film this movie.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, it's not really big sets or anything if you think about it. I mean, it's not
like well, yeah, that's true.
Godzilla's Kong kind of movie where when they get a call about her exhibit at the gallery, that's the director's voice on the phone.
Oh.
The entire house was built on a soundstage. It wasn't an actual house. It was built from scratch so they could knock down walls and stuff to, I guess, pan with the camera and make it easier to go room to room. They also had to make the big house match her models exactly.
Wow.
In the scene in school for the boy, the words "escaping fate" is written on the chalkboard. That's a reference to the first original Halloween movie.
Oh, man.
Where the main character discusses the same thing in class.
Oh.
Wow.
A little, I guess, nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least it wasn't a throwback to Halloween 3, like other movies do.
Toni Collette said she went to the gym every day since filming was so strenuous and exhausting for her. Like you said, Dom, I'm sure she was worn out. I mean, Gabriel Byrne and Toni Collette are 22 years apart in age. So she's in her 40s and he's in his 60s. I mean, well, whatever. That's kind of my thing, but whatever. The director originally wrote it as a straight up, no horror family drama about grief. And then it slowly turned into what we got.
I was going to say, what kind of ending would it have had?
He intended Midsummer to be his first horror, not this. The kid actually wanted to break his nose in that scene. He was going to do it for real.
Yeah.
The director said that's probably not a good idea. So
well, I'm glad he drew the line there at least.
It's a soft cushion, the top of the desk.
Okay.
So it's like hitting a pillow.
So let's rate this thing. All right, I'll start off. on a second watch, I completely changed my tune. Again, this is going to be probably in my top 5 of horror movies of all time. I think it's brilliantly done, and it deserves a watch. I give it a 10.
Wow. This is only my first time, so my rating might change if I watch it again. So for me, it's an 8, but it
Okay.
may go up.
That's high for a first watch.
Yeah.
Like I liked kind of what it was doing, and now that I've read and understand a little bit more, I kind of,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that. So when I first time I watched it, I gave it a meh rating because I really wasn't sure. So that would have been like a 5 out of 10. Second watch, I'm changing it to 10 out of 10. So me and Dominic sort of felt the exact same way.
I can see that. Seriously, I have to watch
Yeah.
it again.
So for anyone out there who may have watched it the first time and didn't like it,
Yeah,
try it again. Yeah. You might get a lot more out of it this time.
I said it to some girls.
John, it's your turn to pick this time. So what do you have in store for us?
I figure we need something lighter and funnier since we did
Yeah.
back-to-back horror. One was a horrible movie, one was a horror movie. So I picked something a little lighter and also very confusing. I've seen it a million times. I don't know if you guys have, but I picked the Monkees movie Head.
Yeah, I've never
Dom,
seen
you ever seen it?
I've never seen it, but I've always wanted to.
Well, there you go, guys.
So we'll be back next week with another episode. But until then, John, you want to talk a little bit about your podcast?
Sure. We Like Wrestling Podcast. It's a weekly podcast. 4 guys sitting around talking about wrestling, past, present, tournaments, special guests, anything wrestling related. We talk about it. We're on Spotify, Apple iTunes, wherever you find podcasts. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. We Like Wrestling Podcast.
John, you should stretch it out a little bit so it cuts off his lame exit.
They'll just edit it.
I'll throw it in from last week. Yeah. All right. And of course, for me, you can subscribe right here on YouTube, youtube.com/Westside of 515. Like the show on Facebook, facebook.com/WestTruthAlist. And of course, you can follow me on the Twitter and the Instagram @WesAlist. Until next time, truth out.